A massive thank you to Maku, Tracy, Sky, Blackhawk and Milan for subscribing to the channel. If you're not featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where Stevie here back with round 2 of Season 6 of the F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. Yes, of course, if you missed out on the first video that went live a couple of days ago from the Bahrain Grand Prix, what are you doing? Go back and check it out before we head into Shanghai here today. But yeah, really looking forward though to jumping into the second race of the year. Of course, there will be spoilers in just a moment as well there, but F1 returns to the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai, and seems like Red Bull have brought just another couple of upgrades to the table to push themselves right back to the top of the Formula 1 world. Championship-wise, currently, we lead the way after a fantastic debut race in Bahrain there. Pierre Gasly led most of the race, but strategy allowed us to jump our teammate late on in the day there. Seems Red Bull, though, and Mercedes are right on the money as well. It's going to be a very interesting season. And yeah, I think, to be honest, we just need to dive into round 2 here from Shanghai. If you aren't already, please do get yourself subscribed. We're closing in on 40,000 subscribers now. We've just crossed over 37k and are making good progress towards 38k. So yeah, if you aren't already, it would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, let's dive in then here to the Chinese GP. There we go. Only just getting the green score and the fuel saving. That was actually rather difficult here. Shanghai is quite hard to earn R&D at. Right, into our qualifying simulation run though. Not optimistic we're going to be able to get the score here, but we'll just see roughly how far away we are. Always seem to struggle to get the car rotated into turn 1 now on F1 2021. I guess just where I haven't driven Shanghai much over the last couple of years. It was never my favourite track in Formula 1. As we head out onto the back straightaway though, we're obviously going to gain a little bit of delta down here. But yeah, not often a track that suited the car in the past. We were a bit lucky last year that both Red Bulls ran into issues there, as they probably should have dominated this weekend. Verstappen, of course, spanned Checo, had an engine failure, and yeah, big lock up there is not going to help us either as we round the final corner. We're about a second away from the target, but fingers crossed we can sign some pace. Let's get into qualifying. We are now just 1 month away from the new F1 season, of course, with all the new liveries revealing, means that we've got all new merch drops. The 2022 McLaren replica launch has now gone live, as well as the 2022 Ferrari collection, and of course, yeah, the Puma drop as well, featuring brands from Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari. Of course, there are options available for every single team still. Click the link down below, and yeah, buy yourself some merch for 2022. Right, well here we are then, qualifying day in Shanghai, and yeah, it's not looking particularly promising on paper. So far, the qualifying pace in the car, a long way off Pierre, and a long way off where we'd want to be. The mediums, though, are notoriously bad for one-lap pace here in Shanghai, so we'll see what trying lap we can get hooked up to start off Q2. But if we can just get a clean lap in that gives us a good delta, that might be key here. Going to need quite a few runs, I think, to try and get a lap good enough for Q3 in. Want to be aiming for a low 28, I think, in this session. Braking at the 100-metre board in towards the final hairpin of the lap. Oh, just getting horribly on the curbs. On the exit there, they completely spat me out the exit of the corner. Oh, haha. Getting all a little bit loose and lively here, and that's only going to be a 1:30.6, which is a very slow time, and a long way off even what Pierre's been able to do. We are struggling. As we get ready to start our second run then. Yeah, we need about 2.5 seconds. 2 laps worth of fuel left in the car. But yeah, we need to be trying to get down to the low 28s here. Going to do the run on the old set of softs first, and then we'll have a fresh set for our last outing. But yeah, doesn't bode well early on. Well, so far it appears that first lap wasn't actually too bad on the set of medium tyres right up until these final few corners there. We need at least another second though in these final few turns. Careful not to lock at the fronts there. Really having a cadence brake towards the apex. And then roll on the power. There we go. We are going to find a lot more time as we head around in the final couple of corners there. Fling it through the final 90-degree left. And it's going to be a 29.6. Still only 15th though. Gasly in 13th on his mediums. We've got one more shot of this on fresh rubber. it's going to have to be a good one if we want to make it into Q3. Having to let a handful of cars through there and trying not to block the AlphaTauri or our teammate. It's Jack Aitken now, sets to 27.3. This is last chance for us. Try and make it out of Q2 even. Looks like Gasly has been able to move himself up the order. Guan Yu Zhou now into the drop zone. But yeah, we've got to try and really nail this lap there. Verstappen sets to 27.2. Like I said, this is never a track that suits our car particularly well, but we're going to have to try and nail the lap there, and we have found a bit more time through the first couple of corners. That's what we like to see. Seems like a lot of the bottom half of the top 10 are around the mid-28 still, but 1.6 seconds is a tall order. So we head up through the S's. We're really attacking the curbs there. Was worried the back end was going to skip out from us, but it opens up the second part a lot more, and that's really, really important here. We are still finding time as the lap goes on, and just building up more and more confidence with the car, but still feel very, very rusty here in Shanghai. Tip it in through the next snail section. Ride on the power on the exit. Oh, attack that inside curb is not what you want to do, and that's going to cost us the run all the way down the back straight. We've still got quite a few slower cars. They're going to be sat in the way at the moment, but we need to nail these final couple of corners if we want any chance of making it through into Q3. Trying to use the short shift on the exit, and it has worked. One more corner. Oh, not the best line through the final turn. 8.5 tenths up, though. We've done everything we can. P12. P12 on the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix. That was awful. I honestly don't know what to say. They're 1.3 seconds behind our teammate. Slower than Nicholas Latifi. No one should be slower than Nicholas Latifi in a Formula 1 car there, but we have just lost everything at the moment. I mean, look at that. There was a 6/10 gap between Latifi and Lando Norris inside the top 10 there, so it wasn't even like we were going to be close had we even jumped the Williams car. It's going to be a tall order in the Shanghai Chinese Grand Prix today, but nothing we can really do now. We've got to grit our teeth and get on with it. Fingers crossed, you know, an alternate strategy, maybe a safety car, something like that can play in our favour. But not a reassuring start, especially after walking away with a win last weekend. Pace is good, though, in the car, in race trim more often than qualifying. So fingers crossed Gasly can fight at the front, and we can just try and bring ourselves back into contention.
It's time again, then, for Formula 1 in Shanghai. Northwest of this thriving city of over 24 million people is a circuit that first featured in the championship calendar back in 2004. And of course played host to Formula 1's 1000th World Championship event in 2019. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1 and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Can we talk about Mercedes? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And it's Pierre Gasly in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Aitken, Yuki Tsunoda, and Sainz, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Bottas, and Lando Norris, Latifi, Mr. Monaco, and Guan Yu Zhou, and Islet, Giovinazzi, Lundgaard, George Russell, and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher, and Robert Schwartzman. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Now the that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Oh, I mean, the fact the team only are expecting a top 10 finish today is not reassuring at all. But here we are then, on the grid, ready for the Chinese Grand Prix. I want to try and do mediums to hards today, I think is going to be the way to go here. Not looking like there's going to be any chance of rain, though, throughout this GP. So things are going to get very, very tough in today's GP there. Like I said, don't want to start on hard tyres. No, that's going to be too much of a deficit towards the front runners there. But if they're two stopping, fingers crossed we can launch ourselves in contention on the one stop. But I think today, yeah, might be one of those races where we have to grit our teeth and get on with it. But 28 laps, though, here at the Shanghai Grand Prix. Waiting on those 5 red lights. Homeboy Guan Yu Zhou just behind us. And it is going to be lights out and away we go. And really not going anywhere there. Guan Yu Zhou, brilliant little start as both Callum Eilert and Latifi down on the outside. A handful of cars having a look around the outside in towards turn 1. And we'll try and be uber aggressive in through the first part of the snail section there and make a move back up the inside as Russell and Giovinazzi. I mean, look at that. Russell just forcing us out towards the gravel on the exit of the corner there. We're still... Oh, wait, no, we're too wide. Just with George Russell as we head out of the first sector there as well. Thought about having a look at the inside of Callum Eilert, but thought better of it. Really struggling to switch these tyres on at the start there. George Russell, for some reason, has started on soft compound tyres. He just moves across me a little bit through the S's there. Was a bit worried he wasn't going to find the pace. As back to the inside will go on the Aston Martin. That's what we want to see, a bit of fighting form early on in the GP there. George Russell, you can try and sort of squeeze us out wide there, mate, but we're going to do the same to you on the exit of the corner. But yeah, need to try and get past these Williams and Alpha Tauris early on there. These are not cars we should be battling with week in, week out there. But looks like the front row has stayed the same there. Verstappen leads the way ahead of our teammate Pierre Gasly there with Sergio Perez in P3. I'm sure Verstappen's coming to this weekend with a lot of motivation. Of course, Perez was comfortably faster than him in the Sakir Championship opener. As we're having a look around the outside of Callum Eilert. Yeah, much quicker, well, theoretically a much quicker car on softer tyres. That should be a nice simple move done around the outside. But yeah, Verstappen, he's got a lot to prove this weekend. With Pierre Gasly P2, Sergio Perez third, and then both Mercedes ahead of both Ferraris and both McLarens. Oh, Latifi really kicking out the back end out of turn 2 though, so we're accidentally sort of going to take our own line and make a move around the outside. The team happy with that. Don't really sort of see that as an overtake, more of a picking up on someone's mistake, but I'm at a P12 again. I'm not going to knock it. Starting to gain in on Guan Yu Zhou as we head down the back straight there. Homeboy, I'm sure, looking for a good result in Shanghai. There's a bit of a lock-up, maybe just feeling the pressure a little bit, is Guan Yu Zhou in these early stages. But yeah, Lando Norris still a long way up the road. Going to be interesting to see just how far everyone on their soft tyres can go in this race.
You'll need to conserve what you have left in order to finish the race.
I thought about having a look at the inside in towards turn 1. If we keep it tidy though, we might be able to get to the inside, which we will. Thank you very much, Guan Yu Zhou. Clearly not spotting us there, perhaps in his blind spot through the first turn. But now up to P11 then of the race, and we can try and put chase to the point scorers here. Or the provisional point scorers, I should say.
The car ahead is 2.9 seconds.
Oh, there we go. First cars into the pits then by the looks of it at the end of lap 5. And it looks like it's only Pierre. Oh no, a couple of other cars are in. There we go. Lando Norris is included in that. We weren't really taking much time out of the Alpha Tauri there, our former teammate. But yeah, this is what I said. Strategy's definitely going to have to come into it today. We're probably going to have to park the bus a lot later on in this GP, as that is not the line into turn 1. But yeah, up now inside the top 10, and now we've got Ricciardo as our next reference. Yellow flag's out. Someone's going slowly at the rear of the field. I don't want to guess, but I think it's one of the Haas cars that might be dropping out of the Grand Prix there. I think it's Mick Schumacher. It might be falling to the wayside. Yeah, Mick Schumacher out of the Chinese Grand Prix. So we're going to see a lot more cars into the pits then. Verstappen, the leader, in. Probably going to see one of the Mercs as well as both Sainz and Ricciardo as their teammates pit one lap early. Just Perez and the other Mercedes are about to hang on out there for now. We're going to come out ahead of Verstappen though. That will be very critical in this GP as we're slowly getting more and more confident in the tyres. So yeah, it is Perez and Aitken that have stayed out there.
New strategy is available on the MFD.
Well, we are
Okay,
not doing
copy
too
that.
badly at the moment. Team reckon we can go a little bit longer on these mediums. And now, yeah, pretty much everyone apart from the top two have one more stop to go. Oh, Charles Leclerc now out of the Grand Prix in his Ferrari. Not too sure what's happened there for Charles, but 2 Ferrari power units already expiring in this race, and we're only at 1/4's distance. And then at the end of lap 7, top 2 are going to box in onto a set of hard tyres. So are they trying to go to the end then on that set of rubber? That'll be a very, very aggressive strategy from Perez and Aitken, but intrigued to see how that'll work out.
The car behind has started to drop back. There's a gap beginning to form.
I think we've really got to rely on Guan Yu Zhou and Latifi to try and hold up some of the faster cars, but Gasly's definitely locked in on a 2-stop. But have Red Bull pulled off a bit of a strategy masterclass here? Verstappen is also on a set of hard tyres. They're trying to actually look for a move on Pierre. If they're 1-stopping, we might be in for a tough old day, an even tougher old day, I should say. I guess the reassuring news at the moment is that Gasly and Verstappen haven't been taking too much time out of me. I think Pierre's just about to fly past Guan Yu Zhou in this race and make it a 1-2 for 2-1-2. But yeah, at the moment though, still just trying to sort of plug away the laps and see if we can be fighting with a lot more cars towards the end of this race. But it really does depend on whether the AI are going to try and stretch that 1-stop or not. But yeah, Gasly's built up a bit of a buffer from Verstappen, which is exactly what he needs to do. If he closes up to us before we pit, I do not want to hinder him today, as he is our best chance of big points. Tyres definitely starting to go off though now at this stage of the GP, so I think we're going to have to box at the end of the next lap. Gap to Gasly just coming down a little bit more rapidly now. Just, yeah, see a little bit more slip from the rear end on throttle. Just not quite able to get the car dialed in exactly where I want it as much. Yeah, trying to push in anger on these tyres is no longer working in this GP. Pretty much half a race, though, on a set of mediums isn't too bad. Going, you can see Gasly has taken pretty much a second out of me over this last lap, so he is certainly going to be all over the back of me. If we were to stay out much longer, they're snagging fronts everywhere on this final lap of the stint, but just got to make sure we get it into the pit lane nice and aggressively. We need to try and gain as much time as possible in this GP as we head into the pits. That was pretty much as good as we're going to get that corner. Get it slowed down into the box. Don't want to take too many risks there, but where are we going to re-emerge then here in Shanghai? Not really too sure who we're racing with, what we're racing with, to be honest, at the moment now. I think if we can come out around Lando Norris and whichever Mercedes that is, that would be rather good. But not 100% sure that's where we're going to be. 2.4 second stop isn't too shabby. And yeah, looks like we are going to be out about there then.
See these tyres through to the end now.
Lucky not to get a penalty there as well. Jack Aitken going to try and do the old up and under on me, but fresh rubber. We do hook it up round the outside there, and yeah, very, very lucky not to get a penalty there, because we just got on the throttle a bit too early. But we've still got a lot of guys in front that are going to have to stop again here. Lando Norris, Valtteri Bottas, and a few more, so points are definitely still possible today, but it's will we have some pace to try and close up to some guys that are on older tyres, or will they pit again and then we're going to be trying to hang on for dear life? The difference between the medium and the hard tyres here is so much smaller than the difference between the medium and the softs. There's just those soft tyres are in another league, but they don't last very long, hence why we don't often see too many people use them on F1 at 2021, but closing in on Lando Norris. Down the back straight there, a little bit of slip from the rear end as well. We're still pushing this thing, maybe just a little bit beyond the limit at the moment. So we attack the sausage curb out the final corner. That is not going to help us. Are we going to be able to pull off a move like we did to Lando Norris's teammate Guan Yu Zhou? So we head back down towards turn 1. I don't think we are. Could have potentially tried to send it up the inside there, but would not have got close enough. So all we can hope now is we can try and get on the throttle nice and tidy on the exit. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get close enough. We might be able to go for a send down in towards the hairpin, Danny Rick style. And looks like we will. Thank you very much, Lando Norris. Jumped out the way at the very last second there. A tiny bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but yeah, wasn't actually expecting to pull off that move there, but we have done it. And we're now back up into the points. Any position we gain now is really, really helpful for our championship. Oh, Callum Ilott struggling now on the set of hards he's been on since the start of this Grand Prix. Surely Williams have got to be trying to pit him rather soon. And this move up the inside and towards turn 4 should be a little bit easier than the one we tried just a lap ago there. It's, yeah, that Williams is really, really struggling. They've gone for an aggressive strategy today. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, we'll wait and see if it works for them or not, but they're certainly trying out-of-the-box ideas to keep themselves a bit closer to the mid-pack. Oh, there we go. Another couple of cars into the pits. It is Nicholas Latifi as well as Valtteri Bottas. Well, one former Williams driver, one still current Williams driver in F1 at 2021. And now we're back up into 7th place then. Still got Sainz and Ricciardo who'll have to box again, as well as Pierre. Maybe we are going to be able to put ourselves towards where we should be. There we go. Gasly into the pits end of lap 17. And next few laps are going to be very, very telling of Red Bull's intent. Are we going to see Sainz and Ricciardo in? Let's just wait and see as we head out through the hairpin. They're really struggling every time to put the power down out of there, but looks like we might be back up into, what, 4th place here, behind the Red Bulls and Jack... no, it must be Yuki Tsunoda, sorry. But we're going to be very, very close to Pierre, in fact. And I think, yeah, when he gets back to me, I'm sure he will. We're definitely not going to bother battling him. He's got a lot of pace, a lot of potential here, and he could still ruffle the feathers of at least Tsunoda, maybe Perez, maybe even Verstappen, if he's feeling really brave today.
Our gap to the car in front is 8.0 seconds.
Start at lap 20 then, 9 laps to go here from the Chinese GP. And we're still hanging on in P4 at the moment, but Gasly, yeah, is probably going to get the run passes this time round. We're taking tiny bits of time out of Yuki Tsunoda, as that's not where you want to be on the exit the first couple of corners. But still, yeah, just very, very difficult. Said heading out then of the snail section. If Pierre gets a run on me now, I'm not going to do any sort of fighting against him here. And look at that, he definitely is. Pierre Gasly already alongside before we even get into the DRS zone there. And Pierre, I'm more than happy to try and follow you to the end, mate. Why are you going defensive? Why would you go defensive there, Gasly? Just get on with it, mate. I want to try and use you to see if we can get up towards Tsunoda. I think Perez might be a little bit too far away today. I think Red Bull might have pulled off a bit of a blinder here, as again, that is not the line at the final corner, but we've actually lost a lot of time through all of that. Pierre, drag us to Yuki, I beg. Fuel might be a little bit tight towards the end of this GP, but I think the gap between Gasly and Tsunoda is going to be very, very close come the end of this. Can Pierre put himself and the team back on the podium here in Shanghai? That would be what I'd love to see. We're just trying to monitor the gap to Jack Aitken behind, to be honest, because that is coming down by a small margin each lap. If we make a mistake, he could be right with us, but we might just have enough in the back pocket. Oh, that's what I like to see. Gasly still pushing like crazy at the moment. So it's a 1:30.4. 4 laps to go. The gap between him and Tsunoda, 4 seconds now, and it's coming down at about a second a lap. It might be a last lap pass by our teammate Pierre Gasly to try and put himself back on the podium here. But yeah, currently 4 Red Bull or previously Red Bull back drivers in the top 4. But both of the former AlphaTauri drivers from Season 1 battle out for podiums and battling it out around the Red Bulls as well. F1 2021, it can create a funny little world. Right, Mazepin, move out of the way, thank you. Should be able to jump the Alpine now as we head down the back straight away. With some DRS as well. Gap now about 3 seconds between the next 2 cars at the road. It will completely depend on whether Gasly can get the DRS on him and how close he'll be when that DRS arrives. 3 laps, 3 seconds between those 2. But for us, it's just about bringing it home now. Aitken's falling back again. We set a new PB.
7 seconds.
See, massively helped by the DRS there. They're not too far away from our teammates and on older, harder tyres. The pace has sort of come together in the race, but yeah, definitely not quite where I wanted still. Well, about to start the final lap then here from Shanghai. Just getting a little bit worried now that Gaz's offensive might have just run out of steam just a little bit too early.
Final lap of the race.
1.4 seconds between him and Yuki Tsunoda, but safe to say Red Bull have completely bamboozled us today. Ricciardo takes new fastest lap there, so nice to see McLaren have still got a bit of fight in pace and have been a lot closer this weekend as well, or at least Ricciardo has. Bottas still straggling behind a little bit. But yeah, Red Bull though will pull that an ace today to try and walk away with the race victory. Of course, weren't robbed of it last year, but certainly completely fumbled it. Perez, comfortable, had an engine failure. Max Verstappen, comfortable out in front, and then completely binned it by himself at about the halfway stage. Effectively cost himself an entire pit stop worth of time there, and that was what allowed myself and Lando Norris to battle ourselves into the fray. And of course, Lando took his last ever Formula 1 victory up until now last year here in Shanghai. But as Verstappen rounds the final few corners, maybe that race was what cost him a World Championship at the end of Season 5, but he's certainly not going to leave it to question today, as we almost loop it round by ourselves in the last lap. Why not, eh? Get the blood flow pumping just a little bit more. Max Verstappen comes through to win his first race of the new season there. It was never going to take long. Perez comes through for P2 there, making it a 1-2 for the second week in a row, but not for the same team there. Gasly can't quite get close enough to Yuki, who takes his first podium of the campaign there, and the first one for Mercedes in a long time, and we come through for P5.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
There'll be many smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take the win here in Shanghai. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here. Max Verstappen's excellent result today sees him take over as leader of the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula 1 action. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, there we are then, guys. Season 6, it certainly does seem like it's going to be 2-2 Motorsport and Red Bull fighting right at the very front there. But Mercedes definitely are within the battle this season around. Max Verstappen takes home his first race victory of the year. They're ahead of Sergio Perez and Yuki Tsunoda in P3. Gasly, I'm sure, gutted with that. Another race where potentially the win could have been on the cards there. And to be honest, I think starting outside the top 10 kind of saved us today, because it definitely meant we could use a much better strategy than we would have been able to otherwise there. Finishing out ahead of Jack Aitken and Daniel Ricciardo there. Sainz, Bottas and Norris round out the top 10 ahead of both Williams there. And you can see just Charles Leclerc and Mick Schumacher not making it to the checkered flags. Means championship-wise, 6 points separate the top 4 after the opening 2 rounds of the year there. Verstappen just 1 point clear of myself, courtesy of his fastest lap this weekend. Perez just 4 points back there with Gasly, a further 2 behind Checo there, with Tsunoda and Jack Aitken 5th and 6th there. McLaren's now both with 8 points on the board. Sainz gets Ferrari's first points ahead of Guan Yu Zhou and Lando Norris there, as well as Nicolas Latifi. And you can see, Charles Leclerc, top man without any points there ahead of Ilott. And then we've got both Alphas, Aston, Alpines and Haas. Means constructors-wise, 3 points the gap behind Red Bull at the moment there. Mercedes in a bit of no man's land in P3 ahead of McLaren and AlphaTauri there. Ferrari, their first points on the board, like we said, means they're ahead of Williams. And could we see Alfa Romeo, Aston, Alpine or Haas even score points this year? That is the big question on a lot of people's minds. But thank you all so much for watching this video nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. Obviously, over the next couple of days, we're going to be focusing on the Alfa Romeo launch and our normal weekly podcast as well. So F1 My Team will return in the week nonetheless. But thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very, very soon with more Formula 1 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.